Welcome back to the Always Aggressive podcast. I'm Corey Palm with Tanner Lipset. Head coach Tony Ersland and the legend Willie Saylor joins us. MatScout Willie, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good. It's very refreshing to jump on and do this with you guys, you know, with all the things going on. I haven't had a whole lot of opportunities to do this, and you know, I know Coach Ersland from back in the day when I was just a bum slumming around Nebraska, poking my head in the room, and Ersland was back there, and he was a good guy and a good friend. So,
yeah, probably long overdue to have Willie on, especially the topics that we cover and kind of what his insight and what his expertise is. So I'm really excited just to get his thoughts on a lot of different things as we move towards an important part of our season, right? Big Tens are upon us, and then the national championship. So exciting time of year.
Willie, you the last 6 months has been kind of a bit of a whirlwind with you, getting to jump back into the fray and really take off and do your thing, which I know I always enjoyed, and I know Ersland enjoys. And so, watching you get kind of let off the leash and get to do all your content and everything that you want to do with your new platform. Tell us a little bit about MatScouts.
Yeah.
How it came to be, what your vision for it is, and where you're going.
Yeah, well, I don't know if a lot of people know about the how MatScouts, the name came to be. When I was first cutting my teeth in wrestling journalism, I started with the Open Mat, and at that time I was thinking about starting my own site, and so I got the graphics and the logos and the name mocked up, and it was going to be called MatScouts, and I was going to primarily focus on everything, but with a real niche into recruiting, and the transition between high school and college was going to be my thing. And that's, to this day, that's kind of like my favorite thing to cover and maybe what I'm known for. But so then, I worked for Flow, and when I left there was a non-compete issue, and I had to sit out for a while. But when I left Flow, my idea was to start the MatScouts thing 10 or 12 years after the original design, which was fun and exciting for me. And so, like I said, with that non-compete issue, and it's behind me now, but in one of the trial cases, one of the court proceedings, I said the hardest thing was not being able to do the hardest thing was not being able to be around people that and your relationships, they don't get severed, but they gotta kind of get put on hold, because if it wasn't for the lawsuit, and if it wasn't for now that I'm free and clear, if it wasn't for the COVID restrictions, I'd be at Purdue with a camera and talking to you guys and chewing the fat and just going out for a cup of coffee and after practice and stuff like that. I mean, to me, wrestling's my favorite thing in the world, and wrestling recruiting is sort of my niche, but it's all about relationships. If the relationships weren't great, like me and Coach Ersland, I mean, what would the point of all of it be,
Yeah.
Ers is a big relationship guy. He said that once or twice.
Yeah.
Well, and that's the thing, right? I think that's what makes Willie good too, right? It's not just a job, right? He's found his passion, and he's found a way to be able to pursue it, right? So, I think that's a blessing, and he's been through some tough stuff here with the non-compete, no doubt. But I think we all feel blessed. We get to follow and pursue our passion. So, it's awesome to see he's back again, and I look forward to seeing him around, especially as COVID kind of hopefully lifts itself and we move on to greener pastures.
Speaking of being around, I know, Willie, that they're doing a very, very limited media approval for this weekend at Big Tens, but we are going to be in your backyard. Will there be a Willie Saylor sighting at the Bryce Jordan Center?
I don't know. I would like there to be, but really for me and the opportunities that I've had this year, that was another bummer that happened with I felt like I got let off a house arrest with the lawsuit, right? I was like, yes, I can go back to doing things. And then COVID hit and it was like, yeah, if we do have media, there's not going to be, you can't get around the guys, right? So like, what's best bang for my buck? And it's probably like sitting home, banging out statistics and dorking away like I do. I would much rather be there. For NCAAs too, I was just having conversations with some other media guys, and there's top flight. I mean, some of the top, I don't want to say it because I don't want to put it out there, but some of the top flight, some of the most full-time wrestling media guys did not get credentialed to be on site. So number one, they're tough to get. And frankly, I'm kind of upset with it. And, but also, what can you do there, right? Like, if Jake Rundell has a big win, if Tommy Pinola has a big win, I can't run over and say, Tanner, can I get an interview with him? Because it's non-existent.
Right. Yeah, you'd have to do it on Zoom, which you could do, like you said, you can do from your house. So it may make more sense. Yeah, I guess I didn't think about that too much, but it raises some interesting points both for Big Tens and Nationals. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. Big Tens. Let's jump more into Big Tens. Pre-seeds came out yesterday. Start with you, Ersland, specifically on Purdue. What were some of your takeaways and things from the pre-seeds?
I mean, listen, in a very tough year, right? Limited competition, no non-conference. So some teams were paused, right? So we didn't get nearly the match count. I thought overall they weren't too bad. As coaches, we can always sit and quibble, right, over some things. And certainly in the seeding meeting on Friday, I'm going to have some points where maybe I thought our guys, right, specifically should be a spot or two higher. In general, I thought they were good. I think where you run into a lot of debate, or where we may see some debate, and I'm kind of interested to hear Willie's thoughts, is we have a lot of these young guys now, and they're talented young guys, right? You have Kirk Vliet, you've got, the Howard kid. They didn't get many matches, so their match count is even lower. Their sample size is even smaller. They're tough, but they simply don't have the background, right? Mm-hmm. Kirk Vliet's freestyle. He hasn't seen anybody a good folk style. So where do you put him? You know what I mean? Where does he deserve to be? And so, I think that's where there's going to be more debate, or maybe people got more feelings on it. But I did think in general they were pretty fair, based on what this year's been.
Willie, kick it over to you, man. What did you think of the pre-seeds?
I thought they were pretty spot on. I mean, there's some that I always nitpick. I have a big mouth on Twitter. I'm very critical of things, critical of officials, critical of seating, critical of rules. But I thought they were pretty good. Like Coach Ersland said, there's some goofy situations with the limited season. You take a guy like Michigan's Dylan Ragusin, right? I mean, he essentially wrestled 25-33 because he wasn't sure if Micic was going to be in, and it turns out, he had 2 wins. He
went 1-1. He went 1-1 at 33.
At 33, but at 25, he had 2 wins that at the time seemed good, but they ended up not being in the field. So he ends up 0-0 against the field, And I think, a guy like your own guy, Devin Schroeder, I think he sort of got I don't know. There was another coach last night texted me and said, maybe I hurt my chances for my guy. This is a different conference, but maybe I hurt my chance for my guy by wrestling him too much. And that is like so counterintuitive, so against the wrestling mantra, right? Is anywhere, anytime you wrestle, you put on the line. But like Devin Schroeder might have been a victim of wrestling too much, where these other guys have freaking 3-2 records. Schroeder wrestled everywhere, every time, and he took a couple losses, and he falls down the seating chart a little bit. But
yeah, no, I agree with you. We are one of 3 teams in the Big Ten that got every match in. We got all 9, and as Willie said, and we can debate. Sometimes I wonder, right or wrong, do you put a guy out? But I believe in wrestling.
Yeah.
If they're ready, let's wrestle. And he dropped the tough one to Barnett. He was ahead in the second when he got rolled and then headlocked, right, and pinned. So,
yeah, and like a lot of years, I'm not poo-pooing Barnett, but in other years you could absorb that loss because some freaky stuff happens other places. Right. This year, a lot of freaky stuff didn't happen because there's frankly wasn't that many matches.
Right. Limited opportunity, right?
No doubt. I will say this: we had a team dinner last night, and as I was talking to the team, I said, "Hey, the fact that you guys have had all of these matches, you are battle tested. You know what I mean, and you're ready." And so that's truly how I look at it. Devin's going to get his chance now, right? Yeah. In the bracket, he'll be ready to go. So to me, you hope it evens out and plays out the way it should, right? For the tough schedule that we've wrestled.
Sure.
But I do agree, man. Like, in a shortened season, some guys kind of hid guys, and whether or not they hit them or maybe they were hurt, who knows? But it happens, and it really convolutes an already tough year with a shortened season.
Yeah. Quick rundown of the Purdue seeds. Our top seeded guy was Griffin Perry at 149. He got the 3 seed. Kendall Coleman's the 4 at 157. Thomas Pinola is the 6 at 197. Max Lyon and Devin Schroeder both got 7 seeds at 84 and 25. Parker Phileas, Jake Rundell, both 9 seeds. Garrett Ninehouse is a 10 seed. And then Emil Sundlin and Dorian Keys got 12 seeds. Corey, did I miss anybody?
Nope, that's everybody.
Not bad. Griffin Perriott, Willie, I know you are a big Griffin Perriott fan.
Since high school.
Right. No, you've been singing Griffin's praises for a long time.
Yeah.
4-0 on a very weird season for Griffin, obviously shortened for everybody. Missed some matches early with injury. Missed a couple matches with a skin deal. But sits at 4-0, has bonus points in the last 2 wins.
Yep.
And looks as good as he's ever looked right now.
Yeah.
What do you see coming for him at Big Tens?
Well, I see a big opportunity for him. He'll get Blockus in the quarter probably, and the chance to really put the country on notice. Because Griffin, he's been banged up with some injuries, right? In fact, he's always been one of I always say there's kind of my guys. I don't know. I got close to Griffin in high school. I just certain people you buddy up with, or you just respect from afar. You like his style, and that was sort of the thing with Griffin. And I've always been rooting for him. And as a journalist, you kind of hear things through the grapevine, and you don't know what to take as true and false. But earlier this year, I heard Griffin. I was like, somebody told me Griffin might be done, career-ending injury, and I'm like, oh no, And then to see him come back so strong, to see him be so strong, I'm like, and as a what is he, junior, senior now? Senior, right? So I'm really happy to see his success, especially this year and with the situations of his career.
Yeah. And I think, Griff, people maybe he's still a little bit of a surprise just based on the fact that he didn't get to go to nationals last year because he had a very strong Big Ten tournament. I mean, he's up on Brayton Lee last year by a point, and then we drive him out with the underhook and get called for the stall call.
I know.
Right? So that ties it up to go OT. Otherwise, that match is in hand. He's top three or four at Big Ten. So he was really trending in the right way, and we felt had a very strong NCAA tournament last year too. So he's at the right weight. He was at 57 early in his career, and that wasn't the right place for him. He's down.
Yeah.
But he's got his weight under control, and as you said, he's come back from the injury very strong. So I like where he's at, and he has the talent. It's just always about the timing of things, and I think the timing is right for him right now.
Coach, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Willie,
I'm going to jump in here, Tanner.
Willie, there are no rules.
And you know how I do it. I don't know if how much you can say or want to say, but what a goofy situation over the past year, 2 years. What do you think? What can you tell us about some of your seniors that will they return will they take the extra year?
So I would say right now I know I've had one express he absolutely is returning without a doubt. And then I've got a couple that are more wait and see, like they chose to say, hey, I want to focus on this year and really, put my best foot forward and not be kind of clouded, right? Exactly. And then make decisions and sit down. And I can respect that. I'm asking for their total commitment one way or the other to this year. So, but I can tell you, I've got one who's all in. He knows he's going to come back. And I've got a couple who are kind of wait and see. And I respect either way. These aren't professional athletes, and there's scholarship money and jobs and things waiting. So I'm happy to table that until after this year. But that's where we're at. We know we're going to get at least one. You know what I mean? If I had to guess, we're probably going to have a couple back and maybe lose one just based on life situation.
Yeah. It's wrestling. College wrestling's a different animal too. Like, not only is it full-time commitment and everything, there's, for a lot of them, not only do they have to say, I'm in for another 6-month, 9-month grind full-time. For a lot of them too, the ones that are seniors, they have to say, okay, I'm applying to grad school, right?
Yep. Yeah, a degree that maybe you would have no intention of using, right? So do you,
nothing,
right? And do you pour more money into that? Like, yes, I want that extra year of eligibility, but if it's going to cost me X amount of dollars, and I completely understand it. Obviously, you want those guys back. All of us coaches do, but then again, there's the money situation, and it's not you have an offer, you have a full ride. That's not the situation. That's not the reality in wrestling. So. And that's the one thing that actually bothered me a little bit this year, because I know what people will default to is they'll say, well, hey, they get next year if they want it, but I've always said some guys are not going to come back.
Yeah.
They won't come back.
Yeah.
And that's not fair. So we owe it to these kids to do everything we possibly can to give them their best opportunity, which, I know we could talk about qualifiers all day long, right? We thought there were some problems there. But why I get upset, because there'll be some guy that may miss his opportunity and he won't come back because he can't. So, yeah.
And, wrestling's a different thing. Just because last year they could have done everything they could, right? And they had to hay in the barn. Just because they hay in the barn that year doesn't mean it's going to be there this year,
No, every year's different. You don't just pick up where you left off. That's not how it always goes.
Yep.
It's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting to see how many kids come back nationally. I'm sure that Willie and some other folks in the wrestling journalism community will do a full breakdown once that stuff all kind of goes down. And I know me personally, I'll be really curious to see what the numbers look like when it's all said and done. We just talked a little bit about recruiting. So we'll kick into, we talked about the kids that may come back. Would love to hear, Willie, you're a recruiting guy. You love the high school transition. Would love to hear your thoughts on our incoming recruiting class. We have, as of just a second ago, I just got noticed, we've signed 4 kids. And
it came
the
through.
3 kids, the 3 kids we announced earlier, Stony Buell,
Yep.
Dustin Norris, and Ben Venadia. And then we just added Indiana high school state champion Tristan Ruhlman to the mix, 220-pound state champ out of Bloomington South.
Yep.
That is breaking news. This is the first place you're going to hear that, because I literally just got the email with the NLI confirmation. So would love to hear your take, Willie, on that quartet of kids that are future Boilermakers.
Well, yeah, I told my co-host on my show the other day, we were talking about it. I told him I was coming on with you guys, and we were talking about it a bit. And he loves Venadia, he loves the Ohio guys that you guys have coming in, and Norris, long and lanky, and I think he's going to be a career lightweight for you guys, 25-33, and really cause problems, with his length. Venadia's Brecksville guy, right? And it's good to get in. I mean, with the talent that they have, and they're proven winners, but also you're getting in with the Brecksville teams. You're getting in with the LaSalle guys, so that's great. And Buell's Dundee.
Yep.
Yes.
Right. So not only are you getting blue chip recruits, you're getting in with the blue bloods of the high school programs too. And I wrote sort of part of an article where I said that Indiana has so many outstanding. Well, I guess they're not outstanding nationally, but for my money, single class Indiana, there's not too many single class state champs as state championships. And if you're first or second in those states, first, second, third, in a single class state tournament, you're probably D1 or real close to D1 impact guy. And Indiana had a bunch of them, but Ruhlman was one that I particularly liked. And this is one where, you can evaluate, and I always say you can evaluate guys and you catch them, you know how good they are when they're a 7th grader, right? And then they're a state placer as a freshman, and then they take first, wherever they are, be it California or Pennsylvania or Minnesota or wherever it may be. And they're a 3-time state champ and they're ranked really high and everybody knows them. That doesn't mean that they're going to work out in college, right? There's the other type of recruit like Tristan Ruhlman, who it's pretty much of a trend recently with these guys that go from 138 to 152 to 197, 195. They're doing work in college. It's been a thing the past, 10 years. And so I really like Ruhlman and I like his trajectory.
Yeah, no, I would agree. And the thing I would add to that too, I mean, Willie's talked about, stylistically, those guys have developed, wrestling, at other weight classes, which helps them. But also college wrestling is just a grind, right? It can be a different animal. And so those guys who are automatically 4-time state champs, they're not always successful because they haven't punched in the mouth, right? Or been tested. And so I also think there's something to be said for guys who have had to have that adversity and haven't had immediate success, and they know how to fight, but they're seeing kind of pretty good.
Yeah.
And I like those guys a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's guys that, you see every year, and it's hard as a ranker because there's guys that are 5-time state champs, they won a state title as an 8th grader, and they made a cadet world team and this and that. But as a scout, you hear that things are off. You see them in a national tournament setting, and you see that they might be a little soft, and you know they won on talent and not, you don't know if they're tough, and you know they're trailing off. And so when you do the rankings, it's like, how do you not have this guy ranked top 20 when his resume says he should be, but like deep down, you know, this guy's not going to work out. So you're basically shouting to everybody there's some problems there. But it's funny, you know, there's a lot of cases where I'd rather have the recently crowned one-time champ than the 5-time champ from somewhere else.
Yeah, no, I would agree. It's tricky business, right? But you want to go with the guys who still have a huge ceiling, and that's not always the most talented guys.
That's right.
Sometimes it is, but often not. So yeah.
Yeah, we just did a piece on the best high school wrestlers that weren't known nationally because they didn't have a college career, right? They were like exceptional, phenomenal high school guys, like almost legendary high school guys, but that never worked out in college because they didn't go, or they went and they had injuries, or they weren't that guy in college, right? And so I think we're going to reverse it. I think we're going to flip the script and say guys that didn't do really much in high school that were college stars, right? Because I think that's encouraging. I wrote
Dylan
Lighty. But I mean, Dylan Lighty, I love Dylan Lighty, but I knew him in high school, right? There's guys I never heard of, you know? So,
Sure.
So there's some guys like that, but Dylan Lighty is a great story, right? He worked and worked and worked. I mean, man, what was it? Labriola in the blood round in 2019?
Yeah, riding time. Couple seconds riding time was the difference in that.
You want to? It's probably bad to bring up here, right? But I mean, you want to tell, and you coach, right? I mean, you want to tell people, you want to show life lessons about how it is to get your heart ripped out and have to jump back up and be tough again. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no doubt. And I would love to see that list. Like you said, it's motivational and uplifting, right? Like there's a lot of those stories of guys who have fell short for whatever reason, social life, academics, just burnout. You know, it's not my passion, and you have those, and it's interesting, right? It's a good read. I like to look back, but I agree that you start looking at some of these stories of guys who have really pulled themselves up and made themselves into something. I think that that's a great read. I would look forward to see who's on that list.
Yeah. It's a wild sport, you know. I mean, like there's guys, like I said, there's guys that were 5-time, 6-time state champs last year that aren't on wrestling rosters right now. And there's also guys like, you know, you think about, I always go back to David Craig, who wrestled at Lehigh, right? Now he was all world in high school, world.
Yeah, Florida boy
Went to Lehigh. And every time you bring up a conversation that's like bust or never delivered or something like that, David Craig gets brought up, and it rubs me the wrong way every time because the guy put in 5 years. He freaking qualified for nationals a bunch of times, and he lived the life, and he did what he had to do. And there's a fine line between expectation and reality, you know. It's so tough, and it's really tough to criticize too, because you're not the guy in the shoes, you know.
No, I agree.
No, you don't know what's going on behind the scenes ever. Like that's the hardest part and this is a trend in college athletics, obviously, is where, you know, people all they see is these line results. They see this guy lost to this guy.
Yeah, sure.
They don't always watch the match. They don't know what happened the day before.
Yeah.
They don't know, you know, they don't know a lot of things. And it's really easy in this hot take society to just go out there and come in swinging like, man, they're a bust.
Yep.
They're a joke, blah, blah, blah. And you know, these are real kids with real problems.
Yep. And it's the most, wrestling, to me, wrestling is the most dynamic sport in the, like, if you're a blue chip wide receiver, right? As long as you you work hard, and as long as in the game you like show up maybe on like 5 plays, right? You have 5 catches for 60 yards. You did your job, right?
Mm-hmm.
And maybe that wide receiver at Purdue drops a pass once, and they're like, you should have caught it, and it goes in the stats as a drop. You know what a mental error does or a performance error does to Jake Rundell at 133 pounds? That's the difference between a win and a loss.
Yep.
That's the difference between going to the national tournament and not, right? The room for error isn't great. And that's not just among the Jake Rundells. That's among the Kendall Colemans, right? Like,
Yep.
What's the difference between being Kendall Coleman, a Big Ten finalist, and being Kendall Coleman the 6th? Probably 2 or 3 little instances during that tournament, right?
Yep.
That's the fine line.
No, you ain't wrong. I mean,
pretty good
I'll look
comparison.
back at the Big Ten tournament, right? Every tournament we've ever been to, Big Ten, Cliff Keen, whoever, and you'll find about 3, 4 that swung the points either in your favor where you finished top 3 or whatever, or you were, hey, we did not have a good tournament, right? And it's just those 3, 4, 5 instances that could have flipped your points the other way. No, so I agree.
Willie, you got us back on Big Ten, so I'm gonna put you on the spot here. Give me a couple of upset picks. Give me some guys to watch at Big Tens from Purdue or anybody else that you think maybe got seated too low, maybe has a good draw, maybe has opportunity to make some noise.
Let me look through here. I'm looking through. I've been prepping for. Well, I haven't been prepping, so you're catching me a little off guard. But I plan on doing a Big Ten show. Let me look through the seeds here and tell you. Schroeder and Cronin.
Yep.
That's just the way the seeds are. 7/2. I don't even know. The 7/2 is an upset on paper, but if whatever Schroeder does is not really a surprise, right? And
hard to call a returning Big Ten final upset, right?
Right. I'm sure Snyder will watch this and call me and tell me I just.
Yeah.
Let's see. At 133. I don't got much at 133. I think I'm very interested to see what the freshman Lucas Bird does from Illinois. And I'm also think that when I picked Jake Rundell to beat Decatur in the duel, and that came down to riding time.
2 seconds of riding time.
Yes.
Score was tied. We lost in 2 seconds.
2 seconds of riding time. I love Jordan Decatur. He's another one of my guys, but I got Jake Rundell this go around. Jake felt him. Jake knows how he feels, and I'll take Jake this time. Who else there do I like? That's about it. At 33 for upsets, right? I'm not going to break any news there.
Right.
Marcus Polanco got the 6th seed, huh? That's interesting.
Yeah. How about that?
That sounds like Coach Ersland don't agree with it.
I think we voted him there, Ers.
Yeah.
I'm staying politically. I'm staying out of it.
Stayed out of it.
Saturday and we're wrestling.
I'm interested to see Chad Red versus Ironman. I just think that's Ironman's like consensus number 1, and I would say he's better than Chad Red, but I think Chad made it interesting last time, and
Chad's dangerous.
Maybe he can do it again. Now, Chad Red has to get through Dylan Duncan first, and that was a barn burner last time.
Yep, no doubt.
Chad Brett always seems to show up in March too. Like,
No doubt.
Yeah.
He
Yeah,
does. He does
true.
his better wrestling at the end.
Griffin goes with Blockus. I got him over Blockus, and then gets Murin, and that'll be a great match. Although, hold on, who does Murin has? Murin has Love It before that.
Yes, you're right.
Wow. So,
Yes,
Yeah.
Love It and Omania. That's going to be a upper body
it's going to be a wild match.
well, you know what?
craziness.
Omania. Two things with the Omania win over
Store.
Storm. Number one, it told everybody in the country not to overlook him. Don't sleep on this guy, right? And number two, Ridge made Fargo finals in Greco. I know he's not as Omania made world teams, right? So I get how good Omania is in Greco, but Omania isn't gonna like win that match on Greco with Ridge because Ridge has felt those things. But so I like Ridge to win that match, but man, who knows what happens after that because then you get Ridge, Griffin, and Murin.
Yep. No, hey, it's like a lot of the tournament, right? Like those quarter brackets, there's going to be a lot, as you said, that one point, one takedown either way, you're going to change somebody's fortunes, and there's going to be a lot of tight ones.
Yep. How's my boy Nine House coming along?
He's coming. I think, you probably know he's a money guy, right? Like the closer you get to the big matches, it's feeling better and better. And so I think he's really excited going into his first tournament, and he has started to figure stuff out. You know what I mean? You and I talked, he's down at 65. And so he's down a little lower in weight. And so we had to get that weight under control and figure out the 1 hour weigh-in, wrestling good people. But no, I like where he's at, and he's a dangerous guy, for anybody.
He's I think he's on pace. Basing it on as much as information as I can, you're in the room with them. I just think, I always say, true freshmen who are really solid through the year, maybe not spectacular. You could be Dan Gable and come in as a freshman and, go 10-5 or something and be solid, not spectacular. Come the dance, those guys are dangerous because now they have a year of wrestling under their belt. And it's been really, I remember Joey Dance, for instance. Joey Dance ends up, he's like wins Fargo, and gets what Nine House has done. He's won Super 32. He's won all the majors, right?
Yep.
And Joey Dance came in that year and he started as a true freshman for Virginia Tech. And he was like, okay, not great. At the big dance, he AA'd because they learn it. They figure it out by the end of the time. These elite recruits. And I think Garrett, I had number 10 overall, right? I mean, he's elite.
Yeah,
recruit.
he was top 10 pound for pound.
Yeah. And so, those guys start figuring it out, getting their weight down. And it's been especially tough. I don't know what your situation was. August, September, October, November. But I know it's probably the worst year for a true freshman because they had limited time in the room, right?
Yeah.
Limited time at everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, you're 100% right. And that's why, we feel good now because we've been very regular, very consistent. We've passed every COVID test, competed every event. And so we've at least the last few months had some normalcy. And that's why I expect, as you're saying, Garrett to be peaking and really showing that, hey, what his skill sets are. It's taken him a little while to get, because of that irregularity in the fall, to get his feet underneath him, like a lot of guys. But I feel like, our team's ready to roll overall.
Yeah. We'll look forward to you at Big Tens, brother.
Yeah. Couple small notes about Big Tens. Penn State announced that they are going to have some limited fans at the event. Pennsylvania just opened up a little bit, so they're trying to get the parents in, which is huge for the kids. I know our kids were excited about it, and so it'll be great to, get a few Purdue shirts in the Bryce Jordan Center and some hooting and hollering there. a reminder, Big Ten Network is going to televise the whole thing. Expanded coverage, never been done before. They're going to show the entire championships. So really excited to see what they do with their kind of, lack of you got a better word than whip around coverage, Corey?
Now, like NFL Network red zone type coverage where they find the best thing going on and get to it.
Yeah, so they'll do that through the first one, then they'll show the semis on Saturday night, and then they'll have their usual deal with the finals on Sunday. So that should be great for Big Ten championships. Corey, you got anything else? Willie, you got anything else?
No, boiler up. Let's go to Big Tens.
There we go. Love it. Willie,
shout out to Willie for coming on with us too, guys. Sorry. Appreciate everything you do, Willie. And hey, we'll be catching up here real soon, okay?
Yeah, when these COVID things get lifted, I'd love to come out to West Lafayette, hang out with you for a little bit.
Absolutely. We'll do it.
Thanks, Willie. Thanks, Coach. Hey, I'm going to try and twist Coach's arm a little bit, maybe get a special show on Friday to talk about final brackets and one last look. We'll work that out off the air. Everybody, thanks for joining us. It's been great, Willie. We'll see you down the road. Boiler up.
Thanks for having us.